Well, I want to present this video to you. Actually, there's a three-way race going on, and the third party, you're looking at him right here. In effect, they might call that a conspiracy theory, but it's been said for quite some time that in a time of constitutional crisis, possibly that there be the possibility that Obama would retain the office of the presidency. Quite obviously, too, that major media and top Republicans are calling for Trump to withdraw. Will Paul Ryan enter into the race, and all this type of stuff? I mean, it's ludicrous to think that Trump is going to withdraw. He's not going to. It's like he wants to win, obviously. I wasn't sure about what he was pulling in the first place, but he wants to win. Now, he does have the popular support in the United States. There's no doubt about it, despite the major media polls. And I know Hollywood is generally against him, the major media is against him, and a lot of the big money's against him. But he does have some aces in his sleeve besides Hillary's health. And you've seen all the videos on Hillary's health, her falling down, going up the stairs and all that, because I really don't know the outcome of this election. I don't. Okay, Trump should win by what's really going on in the popular vote. And that when you're getting the popular vote statistics from non-rigged polls from the major media, you're getting he would win by a landslide. But the money is still against him. But he does have some aces, and I'm showing one of the aces right here, National Security Agency. Hillary Clinton has totally pissed off the intelligence community in the United States, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI. Now, where I stand on these intelligence communities, like, uh, it's like I'm for him, but then I'm not for him. It's like I'm not really against him, and I'm not really for him per se. I think they got too much power, but some people have accused me of being in with them. I know some information about some of the stuff that goes on that it's not from the internet. It's from associates. But it doesn't mean I know everything in what's going on in these intelligence agencies. And it's a mixed bag. Some people are really, really, really good, and some people are freaking in there for number one, and they're crooks. That's really what the reality situation is. So, it's not necessarily a good thing that we have too many of these intelligence agencies. I could say that for certain. But my point is, though, that Trump does have these intelligence agencies on his side because Hillary Clinton has basically backstabbed all the intelligence agencies with her lack of security on her servers. And I'm going to actually tell you a little more about that as we go along. Now, if you look at the Trump rallies are stupendous. I mean, it's like there's no doubt. What gets me is, like, I don't understand how the major media is even staying afloat. I don't pay attention to major media. I don't have cable TV. Okay, I stopped having cable TV. They keep coming up to me to offer me a package with my internet that I have cable TV. It'll be less than having a phone and internet. Now, and I don't even use the regular landline phone, right? I only use the cell phone, right? And I don't even want the cable TV, even if it's cheaper with a faster internet. I don't even want it. I mean, that's how much I'm against it. So I don't understand how, if people were all doing like what I'm doing, I know the major media is losing audience, but they need to lose like all their audience. And, even though YouTube isn't perfect, it's still a more independent format than the major media by far. But, if you look at the Trump rallies are stupendous. Now, if you look at, I could also say in Florida he's had great rallies. But, the book Vote Scam 2000, I think it was written in the 1990s, was actually written about South Florida. Now, I know there's a lot of vote scamming going on throughout the whole country, but I don't think Florida is going to lose to Hillary Clinton. Like, I think it's by legitimate forces, but it could through voter scam. And, this is one of the big issues that I don't really know. I really don't know for absolutely sure, like, how much they know they can scam on voting, but I don't know how much they can. But the thing is that Trump's a fighter and he's not going to quit. We know that. Now, one of the things I also want to say that's a major problem. Now, they're putting too much faith in one. People are putting too much faith in one guy. In other words, the best thing I think Trump can do is if he gets in the White House, is just say, play like he did in the show, The Apprentice. You're fired. Just whittle down the size of the government, knock down the executive orders. But the problem is, if you got to have one man straighten something out in his office, it's like the people have already lost control. The people have already given up their constitutional republic. What they are doing is electing temporary dictators, practically, with the guise of the Constitution behind him. But on the opposite side, Trump would be way better than Hillary. If you look at, we might have 5 Supreme Court justices appointed over the next 4 years. So, because it's not just Scalia, it's Ginsburg and a lot of other people, right? A lot of these justices are getting old. They're probably going to get the hell out of there. And if Hillary's in, she's going to appoint all the ones that hate the Constitution, and if Trump's in, he's going to appoint the ones that love the Constitution and the people's rights. That's a major factor. Now, that's something that goes way beyond this next 4 years. That's another point I want to make in this. But there's always that outside wild card that Obama could be staying on. You think that's impossible? I used to think it was impossible. I thought that was far too much of a conspiracy theory. But looking how the major media is having conniptions about Trump, and they're, in other words, one of the latest things out now is that Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton, is a rapist, and we all know this. I knew all this stuff back in the 90s, in the early 90s, before he got elected. I didn't know about him in the 80s, but I knew all about him as soon as he was in the primaries. And it wasn't from the internet, of course. It was all from written word. And it was tough to get that kind of information. What was his name? Arthur. He runs Accuracy in the Media. He was one of the guys. Reed Irvine and Arthur or something or other. A lot of information came from them, but it was also people that they had other story writers that were in Arkansas that actually told me a lot what was going on with Bill Clinton. None of this stuff is news to me, and I really can't even put it out here because if it's too hot and heavy, YouTube will say it's non-advertiser friendly. But the point is, if the Clintons got away with all this stuff for all these years, that tells me the system is absolutely corrupted to the max. It's garbage. As a matter of fact, the people that protect the president, I think of them as Nazis. The Secret Service, as far as I'm concerned, the SS stands for Waffen-SS. They're dedicated to their job. They're dedicated to whoever the hell's in front of them. And that's it. They got no dedication to what's right and wrong. Therein lies the problem. Now, Trump could actually do a lot because I think it's not just that he's going to pass some law, but it's actually what he's going to do when he gets in there, probably about, maybe a lot of these agencies that we are funding, like the Department of Energy started under Richard M. Nixon. They're all guilty of it. Nixon, Reagan even, Bush, the Republicans, okay? And then you have Johnson with his Great Society, and Clinton, and Carter. They're all garbage, man. They're all were screwed up for the last, 60 years practically. JFK was on the right track, and then you know what happened with him. Now, this is where I think that, Trump really could get, lose in this election, even by, the electoral vote, because it only takes a little bit to squeak by. And it could be that Hillary Clinton's going to squeak by. Now, one of the biggest problems she's got is, I don't think she's going to live that long. It's a joke and a half. That you think that this person who's going to run for one of the most stressful jobs, it's not a joke, but it's ludicrous or whatever. I don't know. That is going to run for one of the most stressful jobs in the entire world, the presidency of the United States. She's having a problem walking upstairs. She's getting bewildered when too many flashbulbs go off in her face. And look what happened. This is what, maybe I showed you large Trump rallies. Like the smallest Trump rallies are bigger than the largest Clinton rallies. But look what happened with the Sanders and Clinton. Clinton won. I mean, in California, they estimated that Sanders had 69% of the popular vote, with Clinton's 31% in the primary, and she won California. I mean, it could very well happen, and they're pulling out every trick in the book. Um, so, but there's some other factors involved, and two of the factors are she pissed off the intelligence community a lot, and there's going to be a lot more information coming out about her right before the election with different things. And by the way, those emails that are personal, they also contain a lot of personal information about her lesbian lovers and who they are, and that's another thing, and that's why she deleted everything. If you really don't want to, if you don't want to believe that, fine, but that is not something that takes a lot to figure that out. What's in her personal emails? It's all about her connections to her late lesbian lovers and who they were, not just Uma Aberdeen, okay? I mean, everybody knows Hillary Clinton's a lesbian. I mean, the joke on the block is, that's a long-standing joke on the block is, how did Bill and Hillary meet? How did they first meet? They were both dating the same woman. That's the joke on the block. They were both dating the same woman back in, the college days. And that was something where Hillary got into that in college and she liked it and blah, blah, blah. And, it's not like, that's not news, but what it would be big news on those emails is, all the different juicy details she would have been passing back and forth, little tidbits, not like it would be laced with it completely, but there'd be lines in there regarding who she was having affairs with. That would be pretty damn damaging to her. But the thing is, electronic votes. Look what happened with Sanders. Look what happened. I'm not really a fan of Sanders, but Sanders compared to Clinton is like, well, they shut him up. They shut him up because they put a scare into him. Now, I'm going to tell you what really got going on here in the United States. If you really don't want to think it this way, we got the Waffen SS in charge. It's not just, I know people say it's the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA. Yeah, maybe it is somewhat, but it's all of them. People are only dedicated to their paycheck and who's giving them something. That's what the government's doing right now. I put out nicely that they are a lobby unto themselves, but they're worse than a lobby. I mean, the Waffen SS, you might argue that they were a lobby. Okay, they're a self-perpetuating lobby only, but it's way more than that. I mean, that's putting it like, that's like saying, saber-toothed tiger is a pussycat. I guess a saber-toothed tiger is a pussycat also, but it's on the opposite extreme of pussycats, right? And that's really what we got going on in our government. We got fascism. And even when people are trying to elect Trump or get Trump elected, they're going along the lines of like, we got to get a leader in there to fix everything, which is fascism. We got a leader in there to get in there to fix our economy. Oh, that's fascism. I don't know what the hell happened with Americans. They're stupid. I mean, for crying out loud, you don't even know. Even the people that are against Hillary and they have all the right reasons why they're against her, they still don't really get what the hell America's about. That's what's really wrong with the whole situation. That's why I think really all is really pretty much lost. Now, if Hillary Clinton won the election by hook and crook, and all Americans recognized that our government is basically now a big Gestapo SS garbage dump of freaking people that are just in there for power, well, there'd be no cooperation. We'd all be fighting him in one way or the other. Maybe not quite literally with, sticks and bricks, but we'd be fighting him on every front. And there's a lot of ways to do that. But people just go along with it. They don't realize, just because the uniform isn't there and the helmet isn't there, that really the people that are in government right now, they are a bunch of freaking Nazi SS fascists. And the Clinton camp is loaded with that especially. But it's not that you need to elect the other alternative out there that's going to be the big dictator leader that's going to fix everything. That's the 99% of the problem. Now, I think, though, that there is a fairly good chance, since they're desperate as all hell, and since, you see, if Hillary Clinton's health was very, very good, and she looked younger, I think she'd have an excellent chance of winning. Not that I want her to win, but if you look at what Warren Buffett said years ago, and I said this on other videos, I knew it was like a one-liner that he said if she'd be the next president. Um, but these people aren't always right. I can tell you that right now. But she's got very, very bad health, and she looks like older than her age. And the alternative media, or the people that are independent of media, are bringing out a lot of things that were never brought out about Bill Clinton in 1992 and 96, because the internet was infinitesimally small back then and everything was really in written word. So she's got problems there. But on top of it, she's got the alienation of the NSA, the FBI, and the CIA. That's a big factor. And Trump is still in with the money. He's not like somebody he's against, the money powers in the least. I'll tell you one thing, and this is kind of one thing that kind of aggravates me, because I think a lot of people don't realize that the money powers are not necessary. Well, I know. I just want to address this situation, because the money powers can be Jewish, yes, okay, can be, but people on the internet think the Jewish powers control everything. That's not correct. And let me just, you're probably going to hate me for this, but I'm going to tell you honestly. Did anybody ever try to study to be a Jew? Do you know how hard it is to be a Jew? Just educational requirements is what you need to learn. And maybe you can say, I don't believe that, and I think it's all this, and it's astrology or whatever. Maybe you don't like it or whatever. But you know what? Just to be, follow the faith and go through all the things to become a Jew, the bar mitzvah and all the requirements, requires a great deal of intelligence. And, just to be in that faith, you are an intellect. And that's why a lot of times Jews are in the professional fields and they're smart. Honestly, I don't trust everybody. I don't like Michael Bloomberg, but I realize he's smart, But I also realize, the people that are making these judgment calls against Jews are so erroneous. And one of the biggest reasons to show that they're erroneous, to show how erroneous they are, is Barack Obama. Barack Obama was basically, his handler was Valerie Jarrett. Valerie Jarrett is, pro-Iranian, pro-nuclear Iran and all this. You could say Soros was behind him, but Soros is not a Jew. Yeah, he's a Jew by blood, but he's not a Jew. People are freaking yo-yos out there. You're just not getting it. And what I always think is going on is actually, well, you know what it is? When you get to the very, very top, there is no religion. There's people that are Jewish, atheistic, Catholic, which, the Club of Rome and the Vatican, there's a lot of corruption going on there. You don't hear a lot about going on the internet, though, how much the Vatican, the Club of Rome, and even out of Venice, the old banking system, how it's still there. No, you don't hear a lot of that going on. Oh, everything's a big Jewish conspiracy theory on freaking YouTube, because that's also part of the disinformation. I've seen people that had far more money than Trump by many times over, and Trump supposedly got a net worth of $10 billion. Okay? Now, that's no bullshit when I'm telling you that, but, they don't, I'm a guy that works with the numbers, and it was like stuff I was doing before, but it's not like I'm in with these people either. I'm an independent media producer mainly and still an accountant, but I just want to tell you that, there could be no bigger enemy of Israel than Obama, for crying out loud. People are saying they're saying he's this and that, and I'm like, come on. It's like people aren't getting it. Actually, like I said, there's no ideology, there's no religion when you get to the top. In other words, if you get extremely wealthy, it could be a Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, I don't know, Chinese, Taoist, whatever, I don't know what the hell that is. And They will throw their own people under the bus in a second flat. Any of them. Any of them will. Any of them will. Actually, Obama has thrown his own black people under the bus during his administration many times, including Danny Williams, half black, just like Obama. Remember I talked about him before? Danny Williams being the son of Bill Clinton. You know, Obama could freaking interject in that real quick. I would if I was him. I wouldn't give a damn. But you know, that's why I'm not in those positions, because I'm like that's why Trump is kind of, well, that's one some reason I kind of like Trump in some ways, because he is his own person in a lot of ways. You know, it means, you know, I'm voting for this guy. There's no doubt about it. You know, but I also realize the American people have kind of lost sight completely. Even the people that are supporting Trump have lost sight completely of what America's about. We don't basically need too much government at all. I think that axiom that they used to say, I think it was Thomas Jefferson said, the government that governs least is the government that governs best. That's true. You don't need a bunch of people coming in there passing new laws and making more edicts and stuff. We don't need these people. They're garbage. And as far as, like, you know, one of the biggest issues we got on a forefront is healthcare. Oh, we got the answers for healthcare left and right. They're out there, and I got a lot of videos on them. I'm going to actually put more on them, probably on the same type of things I've been mentioning, but from other uses, like addressing Gulf War syndrome and toxicity of, you know, veterans coming back from Iraq from 2003 still, or even in Vietnam, veterans with Agent Orange. How you can get rid of all that crap. How you can be pure and fix all your DNA and get rid of all the problems. I actually need to put out more videos. I have been putting them out, but they don't seem to get enough attention. And I'm thinking, God, this stuff is super important. And I put out a video about the Rothschilds and the banking system, which is a portion of what's going on, and it gets media attention like crazy on YouTube because of the giddy minds. It's not the whole story. You would not believe the kind of power that is in other, you know, in other sections of the world. There's other power centers, and everybody's struggling with each other. There's no, like, one power center out there that has absolute control, and nobody really knows where shit's going, okay? I mean, nobody really knows the outcome of this election. That's a fact, Jack. I know people are going to say after the fact, who guessed it right, oh yeah, that's what happened. I know the powers, most of the powers want Hillary. But like I said, she's got two main problems. One of them is her health, and number two is she's got the intelligence community against her who can release a lot of damaging information on her. But then that also leads to, if they're so dead set against Trump, they might want to keep Obama in power due to constitutional crisis. You know, I'm looking at a lot of these stories about now recently, since, you know, it became out about Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton, all the rapes he committed, that is a tiny fraction of it. I don't even want to tell you what all happened. A lot of these people died, and it's like, I don't want to put them on here because YouTube will say it's too hot and heavy. But I just want to tell you that there's far more to the story than you actually know on the internet. I know it because I know about it, all the Clinton scandals from way back when they were being formed. And I know about them from also former CIA agents who used to write things that I had to pay cash for to get in the mail that was not even by a check. And I also found out from people in the military that way that I had to pay cash for because they wanted untraceable where I got the information, where the, you know, who there's who was paying them and all that kind of stuff. This was back in the 90s, and I still got that information. Now, I can't really put it on the internet, you know, because if I know it's like when I tell you a little too much about what's going on, what Trump's aware of, you know, it's not advertiser friendly, and it's like, you know, that's kind of a form of censorship in a way. It could be, you know, it could be. I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, if I'm, you know, if I was back in the 1930s and I said, you know, Hitler was planning on, you know, Hitler would be compared to Hillary, okay? Um, if I was back in the 1930s and I said Hitler was planning on doing all these extermination camps, and there was a YouTube back then, what would they do? They would say, "Oh, you can't say that because it's advertiser friendly." I mean, Jesus, man, I'm getting sick of this crap sometimes. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I generally am, honestly, I'm very, and it's not because I'm kissing her ass, because I freaking hate Kerry and I hate some of these other assholes like McCain. Uh, Honestly, am very pro-Jewish and pro-Israel. Um, and I'd like to put more critical videos of Israel on here, but I realize it becomes even though I'm pro-Israel, I'd like to put some critical videos of Israel on here. I realize it would be like a feeding frenzy for the sharks. Like a little bit of criticism will just go into full all-on attacks, and it's like that's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do that. That's why I don't go down that route. I mean, I don't think Israel's perfect. Okay, I'm not stupid, for crying out loud. I think Israel's perfect, and everybody walks on water, for crying out loud. But I generally got to have much higher regard for the Jews than a goyim, even though I'm a goyim too. Anyway, I'm probably gonna stay a goyim. I don't give a damn. Eh. They wouldn't want me, because I can tell you right now, one of the first things I'd be arguing for if I was a Jew, let's get the hell out of Israel and let's take over Utah and kick out the Mormons and fight Mitt Romney. Well, that'll be our freaking holy land, because there's too much garbage going on around in Israel. And, of course, that would piss off everybody, the Goyim and the Jews, for saying that. But that would be my independent way of thinking, okay? So, anyway, what we got going on here. And, honestly, I could tell you, even about these guys that are Waffen SS and the people that were in the German army, 99 point something percent of them weren't political. They were just fighting for the country. I'm not gonna say anything against any German that fought back then. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the part that's bad is that when you worship a leader, and that's kind of like what we got going on. The president needs to have a whole hell of a lot less power, man. That's going to be the fix right there. I'm just hoping that the main thing that Trump really will do right, or the two main things, is he'll whittle down the size of the government. And number two, he'll appoint maybe 4 or 5 Supreme Court justices over his term that will be very constitutional, which means protecting the people's rights versus like what Hillary would do. And that effect would have effect for like 20 years or more. But then, honestly, it looks like the way things are going, and also if you're looking at even what HSBC says about what's going on in the economy, they're talking about a major implosion in the markets. And even if they raise the interest rates slightly in December, that's going to be the end of the equities, and they'll probably do that on purpose if Trump wins, to make him look bad, because he said, let's make America great, so it'll crash the hell out of the economy. So even if Hillary doesn't win, and say Obama doesn't pull some kind of constitutional crisis and stay in power, they're going to still be attacking Trump twice as hard once he gets in office. It's pretty much a mess, man. Now, what's the solution? Don't support the major media. And also, even these big corporations like that sell you iPhones for $700, that's garbage, man. I mean, personally, I went, it's not the matter of whether you can afford it or not. It's a matter of why buy it. I mean, I went on eBay a few years ago and I bought an Android that was in excellent condition for like $100. And I had to buy a $5 ringer for it for a few months ago. It's like I don't feel like supporting these big corporations farming out labor to China. And that's what you really need to do. Be independent. Politics is like a bunch of garbage, really. And but Trump right now is our only hope to actually. It's like you don't want to have so much faith in him that he's our leader. He's going to save us. But you want to realize that he's our only alternative. All other options are totally so bad that he's our only alternative. Period. And if he does whittle down the size of government, then he's actually following what the founding fathers wanted. And it may be that the size of the government is going to get whittled down one way or the other, because I don't see how it can keep going. Because I think by 2017, if you look at the debt clock, I think it's at 19.6 or 19.7 trillion. I forgot which one. The debt clock should be at $20 trillion, and the unfunded liabilities are like way to hell through the roof. And we also have the derivatives on the major banks that are like leveraged, I don't know, 50 to 1. They got 50 times as much exposure to derivatives than they have assets. It's a house of cards that's ready to come down. So, I mean, you know, so even if the worst happens, Hillary gets in, or say Obama retaining power would be better than Hillary, to tell you the truth. That's how freaking bad Hillary is, man. But, if that ever happens like that, I mean, it's a moot point, because the funding for all these, even the Secret Service and the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA, it's all going to be dramatically reduced, including our military. And you're going to see where their loyalty goes then, out the door. Because it's all about career and getting paid. That's what the hell these people are about. That includes in regular military, too. The first termers are usually the ones that are hard chargers, and maybe second termers. But once they start getting up near that 20 years, man, they're just like retired on active duty, right? You know how those people are, right? And those are the ones running the show. So, I mean, maybe an economic collapse might be a very good thing. But then, as long as you work hard and you're independent, you're fine. But, it's really up in the air. It's really a three-way race. And Obama is the other guy that's out there, man. He's the other guy that's out there. So he might retain power. It's a possibility. Because I could see how desperate the major media is and the powers that be are. And Hillary Clinton, God, if she stumbles and falls or something right in front of a bunch of cameras, and then there's a bunch of emails that come out on her that are released by the NSA, and I know the Hillary Clinton camp's going to say they're from the Russians. If that comes out, she's probably going to have so many votes against her. There'll be so many votes for Trump that they're not going to be able to rig it. So Trump might win, or maybe they'll pull. You say if he wins, maybe they'll pull a constitutional crisis or something. I don't know. They are desperate. But I think what they're holding on to is, these guys are kind of like, they're trying to me, it reminds me of, these are like people that are trying to be, like in Trump, I think he might actually resurrect this country pretty well, because he might be able to take, like, what was that guy? They call him the Grave Dancer. I forgot his name again. The one that owned the Chicago Tribune. He'll take companies and turn them around and make them into something strong again. He might be able to do that with America. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. But it's almost as if everybody's fighting over a shell. A bankrupt company that is having dwindling sales, and they're all fighting over this stuff to be the top dog. So, I mean, even if Obama or Hillary gets in there, it's going to be the end a lot quicker. If Trump gets in there, I think it'll stall off what's going to happen to the United States for some years, possibly. Even though we're going to see a lot of hardship when Trump comes in. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the kind of hardship we're going to see if Obama retained office or Hillary Clinton came in office. So, but like I said, man, it's like grow your own garden, peace on earth, and don't worry about this politics too much, because when you're looking to elect a leader to fix everything there is, you're basically voting for fascism. And like I think it was Thomas Jefferson said, the government that governs least is the government that governs best. And that's exactly the way we got to have it. We don't need these idiots telling us what to do. We got to get rid of 99% of these laws out there, and then things will get fixed.